If your life was a highlight reel, what would the title be?
Get you some of that. That's what I would call
Get you some of that.
My job in the Marine Corps was a Stinger missile shooter guy. I was a Stinger gunner, so I shot a Stinger missile off my shoulder.
That's dope.
That was cool. Yeah. It's not what I wanted. And there are some people that I know some people that don't start working until they get out of high school. I mean, I started at 14, right? My kids started at 14, 15 years old because I want them to understand the importance of, all right, you have to be at work for 8 in the morning. You got to get up at 7, take a shower, get dressed, and then get there. You want to be late or miss curfew, or you want to show up late for work? That's fine. We'll go out to the pull-up bar and we'll do pull-ups until your arms fall off, and then you're never late ever again.
Yeah. You can't do that shit in the, like, no. Especially nowadays. No. You know.
No. I think we need to implement that in corporate America. I think there'd be a lot less soft people out there.
HR would be pulling their hair as we speak.
Oh yeah.
Think about it and just stick with it. Never give up. You can't give up.
I can get lost in looking at Excel spreadsheets.
Even if you're laying pipe, change of clothes is definitely one of the things.
I know people find that weird.
But there's always a massive fucking dildo in every fucked up house. Always.
This dude would be a great fucking worker, dude.
Are you doing this for money or are you doing this for your schedule?
There you go. Boom.
That's not a bad idea, man. That's not a bad idea.
Also know that this is what I want to do forever.
I might as well just jump off the roof of the plane.
Mike, you got a hell of a background, buddy, right? You know, former Marine, you know, you're doing a bunch of stuff in the trades, and then you're a podcast host. Like, how did that really, like, all started? Like, kind of tell me from, like, the beginning.
Yeah, you know, my story is probably not unlike a lot of people in the trades, right? Where maybe they didn't start off in the trades. You know, my father was an electrician for the commuter rail for many, many years. So I was kind of always around him and the trades at one point, I guess. You know, he wasn't the teaching type, so he wasn't like taking me along to like jobs or odd jobs and doing like side jobs and stuff. So right out of high school, I went to work for the commuter rail with both my parents worked there. My mom was an admin clerk there for many years. My father was an electrician. And then, you know, I was there for a couple of years. I got promoted. I left. I started kind of like a laborer, just kind of, again, in the trade. So I was around machinists and carmen and repair people and mechanics. And I was around trains for many years. I got promoted from like a laborer to like the parts warehouse. I was there for a couple of years in the parts warehouse. And then I left there. I was selling tickets at North Station here in Boston. But then I just, you know, I wanted to make a change. I wanted to go do something that, and I was 25 when I joined the Marine Corps. I kind of just said I want to go to something that nobody else is doing right now. You know, I love my country, and I want to just, you know, go do something that when I'm 50 years old, I can look back and say I did something that most people don't ever get to do. So 25, I went to the recruiting office. I was going to go sign up for the Air Force. I didn't like what the Air Force had to offer. You know, they were kind of a lot of technology, right? A lot of college atmosphere type stuff. I wanted something hard. I wanted to pressure and push myself at 25. So when I'm 50, I could say, you know, I did boot camp at 25 years old. So I think that was like July 6th to July 7th, I think, to 1999. And then I signed the paperwork and I left. I was gone September 1st, 1999. So like less than 60 days, 40 days. Wow. I sold my stuff. I got out of my apartment. I sold my car. I packed up and that was it. Moved to, I was gone. I was gone for boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina.
Yep.
My school was in Texas, and then my MOS, my job in the Marine Corps, was a Stinger missile shooter guy. I was a Stinger gunner, so I shot a Stinger missile off my shoulder.
That's dope.
That was cool. Yeah. It's not what I wanted. You'll ask anybody who joins the Marines. Most people don't get what they really want unless you go infantry, right? So I really wanted to be one of those guys that drove those amphibious tanks off the back of the ships.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of what I wanted to do. But when I got my orders to the school in Texas, I'm like, that's nowhere near the ocean. How are they going to show me how to drive a tank? Like, my school's in the middle of the desert in El Paso, Texas. How am I going to get? I said, it doesn't sound right. So, for looking around, it was not the right school. It was a different school, Stinger School. And my job was so small that I had to spend a year in Japan. So I went to Japan my very first year. So I got to live in Japan for a year. And from there, I did some time in South Korea. A lot of time in California, right? I fell in love with Southern California. I had every intention to never, ever come back to Massachusetts. I was going to stay in California. I didn't care if I was on the beach. I didn't care if I was a homeless bum. I didn't care if I was living on a curb somewhere. It was just.
I'm in California, baby.
Everybody's beautiful. The weather, the cars, the streets, the sidewalks. You know, I mean, it's Southern California. It's 76 every day. It's 80 degrees. Never rains. It's sunny. You're at the beach. Everyone's happy. No one's disgruntled. There's no snow. But then, you know, as fate would have it, I met my my wife at the time. She was back here on the East Coast. I was contemplating going East Coast because I didn't really want to go to North Carolina because I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to be NASCAR country. I didn't want to be like the good old boys. I wanted to do something, you know, because then if I went East Coast, I knew I'd be home a lot. I'd come back to Boston. I didn't want to do. I want to be as far away from home as possible. But I met my soon-to-be wife. We got married, and I went East Coast. So very, very fortunate to be. Things happen as they do, right? So I meet my future wife. We have a family. I'm in North Carolina. Then I get out. I got out in 03. Well, I should say I was actually in on September 11th, 2001.
Oh, wow. Have you ever tried to get a hold of customer support at a software company? Well, most of the time you're just sitting there talking to a bot or you're waiting for weeks. Not with FieldPulse. One of the many things that customers love about FieldPulse is their customer support. When you reach out, you're not talking to a bot or some outsourced call center. You're talking to real people who actually know the trades and understand how your business runs and know how to answer any questions you may have. FieldPulse team listens too. They're constantly updating and improving the platform based on their user feedback. So the software keeps evolving with your needs. And it's not just talk. Their support has been recognized across the boards with awards from G2, Capterra, Software Advice, GetApp, and Software World. If you want software backed by a team that actually has your back, check out fieldpulse.com and see why their customers love working with them.
Yeah, I had flown back September 10th back to North Carolina. I just gotten engaged. September 10th, 2001, I flew back. So September 11th was a Tuesday. It was my first day back after being gone a couple days, and that's when September 11th happened. So, you know, they pretty much had us ready to go to war. They had everybody ready to deploy. I didn't deploy, thank goodness. I was very lucky there because my job was so small. There's not very many Stinger guys around the world, so they take a couple of guys from every unit and put them out on a boat somewhere. But they didn't pick me. I was very, very fortunate, very, very lucky there. And yeah, I came home. I didn't want my job back at the railroad. I definitely didn't want to go back to the railroad. That was something I didn't want to do. But it was easy. I go back to work for the railroad. I was very fortunate because my last 16 months in North Carolina, I was in the training. They kind of taken me from the firing platoon with the Stinger guys and put me in an admin role. So I was able to do a lot of training and stuff, get experience training Marines. I did a lot of admin, a lot of reporting, a lot of working with Marines to get them better training. So I did that for a little while. And when I came out of the Marine Corps and I went back to the railroad, there was a brand new company that had taken over the railroad, and they were big into training. So they were like, they had a training department, we had a training manager. It was great because I was able to take the skills I learned in the Marine Corps and transfer them over to, you know, the civilian world.
Yeah, cool. Which is also the cool thing too, right? About when you're in the Marines, it's a very disciplined, like, you know, disciplined lifestyle, and
sure,
so bringing that training to the civilian world, the real world, is it a little bit harder, or, you know, because a lot of people don't really have that mentality of, like, you know, the disciplinary and everything like that.
Yeah, so it's tough, you know, when you're in the military, especially the Marine Corps. Like, there's a rank structure, so you've got a rank, and everybody knows who you report to. There's a ton of respect for different ranks. You know, it doesn't matter what unit you're with, or as long as you got that chevron on your collar, if you're a sergeant or a corporal. You really didn't even really know anybody's first name half the time because you were calling them by their ranks. It was Colt Maloney. It was Sergeant Johnson. It was Sergeant Brenner. It was and I was very lucky that I worked in the admin role I had. I had very high-ranking people above me, and they took very good care of me. Unbelievable leadership, even to this day. And I've been out over 20 years. I could still call those guys if I wanted to ask questions about some leadership or how they handle this. It is like a fraternity. It's like a lifelong. I met my best friend in the Marine Corps. I'm the godfather to his daughter. You know, he lives in Pennsylvania. We've been friends for over 20 years. I was in his wedding, you know, godfather to his daughter, which was amazing. An honor to me to do that. But yeah, it definitely very different going military to civilian. The discipline's not there. The rank structure, the discipline's tough because, you know, you follow orders in the Marine Corps, and there's really none of that in the civilian world, right? You can't. and then there's a lot of questions. Why do I have to do it this way? Why do I have to do it that way? And the Marine Corps, you just did it. Hey, Court Maloney, go do this, and you went and did it. It wasn't like, why do I have to do it this way? And why don't we do it this way? And why do I have to do that? And you just did it.
Yeah.
That's just what you did. Oh, and if you didn't do it, there wasn't like a lot of yelling, but there was a lot of discipline. All right, that's fine. You want to be like that. If you want to be late or miss curfew, or you want to show up late for work, that's fine. We'll go out to the pull-up bar and we'll do pull-ups until your arms fall off. And then you're never late ever again.
Yeah.
You can't do that shit in no. Especially nowadays.
No.
The whole,
I think we need to implement that in corporate America. I think there'd be a lot less soft people out there.
People would lose their minds. People would lose their minds.
HR would be pulling their hair as we speak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was late one time. Right as I got up, there was a big formation, and there was a big 6-mile or a 10-mile hike out in the woods in North Carolina. And for the only time ever in the Marine Corps, I missed it. I just overslept for whatever reason. I overslept, and I really could have gotten my ass chewed bad. And the person in charge of me was a high-ranking guy. He yelled at me for a little while, and then said, "I don't know why you're still standing here. Get your ass to Dunkin' Donuts, large iced, extra caramel swirl, extra cream," right? Because he knew I was a good Marine. I messed up, right? But I had Marines that couldn't clean their room, right? So every Thursday you have a field day, and every Thursday you've got to clean your room, and Friday morning they inspect, and if you don't pass, you got to do it again. We had guys that just could not clean their room, just couldn't. There was either dust everywhere, or it wasn't clean, or there was hair in the bathroom, or soap scum, whatever. They don't take it lightly, because if you can't follow orders, what are you going to do when you go to war? Right. What are you going to do when you get
where it's like, oh shit, it's like life or death type stuff. It's like, but it's crazy because I've seen it in movies, where the boot camp at Paris Island, it's very, they're not they don't mess around with that shit. No. You gotta make your bed every day. Everything has to be organized, cleaned. I'm it's just crazy. Especially a young kid, right?
Yeah.
Coming from living with his parents, didn't have to worry about cleaning his room, making his own food, making his bed. Going from that to that must have been oh fuck.
I grew up in a house. My father was always yelling, so the yelling piece I was okay with that.
Okay.
Right? And they don't ever put their hands on you, right? They can't. They
can't physically harm you, right?
They can't put their hands on you. I mean,
they can
probably
try.
grab you. They can probably grab and try to snatch you. I mean, I saw some kid get snatched out of bed one time because I think he had oral surgery. He was just in bed. But there's a lot of yelling. There's a lot of close, in your face, spitting almost, yelling at you. There's a lot of pop veins. There's a lot of exaggeration. The littlest thing would set these guys off. But the drill instructors, they were preparing everybody to go to war. Right? And there's no soft and squishiness when you're going to war.
Yep.
You're going to be under fire. You're going to have people shooting at you. And everything they do in boot camp is to get you ready. So a lot of yelling and screaming, a lot of repetitiveness. You didn't just get out of bed in the morning and get dressed. They would tell you how to get dressed. They would one sock at a time. And then if you didn't put it on the right way, they would make you start over again. And sometimes it would take you an hour to get dressed in the morning. It wasn't softly get out of bed and jump in the shower, do what you want to do. You were literally up 4:30 in the morning. You were being yelled at. You would go to the chow hall. You'd have 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes to eat. You had to put as much food as you could in your mouth as fast as you could. Because they've got to put 2,000 recruits through that chow hall. So it's not like you take your time. You can't just sashay in and sashay out. You gotta be everywhere you're going with purpose. You never walk anywhere. You're running everywhere, even up and down the stairs to get to your barracks door. The barracks is, but you hate it at the time.
I guess my biggest question is about the Marines, because I have a friend who was in the Marines for a while. What's the biggest stereotype that people think about the Marines, but it's absolutely not true? Not at all.
I think in the old days, a lot of people thought Marines were stupid, right? People joined the Marines because you couldn't do anything else, right? You couldn't get in the Army or you couldn't get anywhere else. But there's so much technology in the jobs now. There's a lot of computers. There's a lot of, I think the Marines, they're the hardest boot camp. They've got the longest boot camp, 18 weeks. The other branches are 7, 8, 9 weeks, I think. I think most people would say Marines are stupid, but I don't know.
We got some smart motherfuckers running this truck.
Yeah. I mean, you put in a position of leadership, and you'd be in charge of, even as a corporal in the Marines, you sometimes have a squad of 10 or 15 you were responsible for, right? So you had to be able to, if you weren't going to the field somewhere, you had to get them into the field, get them out of the field, make sure all the equipment came back, make sure everybody came back safe, make sure nobody got crushed by a truck or killed or run over. Or
that's a lot of responsibility. That's a lot of responsibility. Yeah.
Some of these corporals are 19, 20 years old. Like you said, never lived up. I was in some of these. I mean, boot camp is like a melting pot. Anyways, I had like people from all around the East Coast, and even in the Marine Corps, I think my unit had. I had an Eskimo. I never met an Eskimo before. I never met never met a real native. I had a Navajo Indian in my group. I had I had people who had never been on a plane before, never left Alabama, never had, I had some guys who had never seen snow before. So you're around people. I mean, no matter where I went, I was usually one of the oldest people around because I was so much older.
Yep.
The guys in school were 18, 19 years old. I'm 25. I'm still able to drink. I can go out and buy alcohol. I can go to the clubs. I can get to the club. Some of these kids couldn't even buy alcohol. Couldn't even get to a club.
Damn shame.
Because they just weren't old enough.
Yeah. Well, and you were in the Marines for what, 15 years or no?
Oh God, no. 99 to 03. I just did my 4 years.
Oh, okay. So 4 years. Okay.
Oh yeah. I did 4 years. I don't know how anybody does 20 years. Crazy respect to anybody that does 20 years. I did my 4 years. I'm good.
All right.
I got out. I got what I wanted to. I got out.
You're like, all right, 4 years. Yep, that's good. Good.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
I'm out.
I appreciate it.
So when I came back, I went to work for the railroad again, training, doing things like that, and then I didn't want to work for the railroad anymore. I just didn't. It wasn't a job where I was using my brain. So I went and got a job at a local Dunkin' Donuts franchisee in Medford. They needed a training manager.
Oh,
so
that's
I kind of started a whole position there. They never had anybody doing any training for the managers, the franchisees. This was a small franchise. They had they had 20 stores in Medford, on the Fellsway in Medford. Great family, 2 brothers and a sister. It was a fantastic experience. I learned a ton. I kind of took, a non-existent position and made it. I was training managers and crew members and, all the managers in the 20-something stores I was training every day. That role kind of evolved into a multi-unit manager where I had, they didn't need the training person anymore because I think I did a pretty good job training people. So they made me a multi-unit manager. I had 6, 8, 9 stores underneath my responsibility. Then I kind of jumped around from different franchisees. I was on the North Shore. I was in the city. Different franchisees come with different benefits. I really wanted to kind of be director of operations. I kind of wanted to do, more than just running 6 or 8 stores. And every franchise I went to kind of offered me that position, but then it just never came to fruition. I started a company with a friend of mine. We were wrapping cars, trucks, buses, duck boats. We signed a contract with Stop and Shop. We wrapped every bakery case for Stop and Shop from Richmond, Virginia to Amesbury, Mass, about 800 stores.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Did that for a couple of years. Yep, he grew, he expanded, he bought other businesses. He bought a screen printing place, he bought some embroidery places. We were doing tons and tons and tons of work, did some celebrity cars. And then, I'll tell you now, don't ever go into business with your friend because it never ever works out. He was making a lot of money and not telling me how much money he was making. So, when things weren't getting paid and you start showing up in a fancy car, he had a brand new Lamborghini. In the meantime, we can't pay the rent.
So Tiago, if you ever buy a Lamborghini, we're gonna start asking some questions around here.
Dude,
wife's got the $200,000 SUV.
Yeah,
we can't pay our employees.
My fat ass cannot fit in a Lamborghini, Alex. Let's just put that on the table real quick.
Yeah. So then I left there. I kind of jumped around, and I landed at the Google Construction Institute, hired as a teacher liaison. They really didn't have anybody to be like the middle person between all the teachers and the administrative staff here in the office. So, hiring teachers, developing teachers. And then in October 21, I think, they need some help with the apprentice program. They were just coming out of COVID. The state was in a massive position of no one doing anything down there. So apprentices in Massachusetts, very important. Apprenticeship in Massachusetts is huge. Apprentices need certain cards to do certain work. They weren't getting those cards. They couldn't do the work. They weren't registered. There was, a lot of companies very upset. So I took an apprentice program with 50 member companies and about 300 apprentices. And I think today I've got 100 member companies and about 700 apprentices.
Wow,
so,
that's awesome.
More than double the program. It's been great because, I got to, what I'm really good at is policies and procedures, putting procedures in place, and it enabled me to just kind of streamline and simplify the entire apprentice program. They used to go 6 months without getting cards. Now I can get a card in 7 to 10 days.
Wow.
That's a big turnaround.
Damn,
That's a huge turnaround.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. The member companies, ABC, Massachusetts, these apprentices need these cards to do the work.
Yeah.
They're doing state work. They need to be able to get paid properly. So that's been very important to me. And, the entire staff here at the Goulds, is we love helping the students. We love helping the people in the trades. I've got about 70 plus teachers and about 1,000 students.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's incredible. So that brings me to a topic that I really want to talk about. Since you're right in the middle of everything, where's the state of the trades right now? What your opinion?
That's
What's the state right now of the trades? Because some people say trades are a dying breed, but we're starting to slowly turn a corner. Other people are saying we're on the right track. We have enough work, enough skilled labor, skilled people. And for me in my trade in plumbing, the average age I think it's around mid-40s, late 40s. It's a huge gap because within the next 10 years, they're all going to retire, So what right now is the state of the trades, in your opinion?
As far as if we kind of base it upon enrollment in the school here, we're staying pretty much at a pretty good level, right? We haven't seen any drop, and we haven't seen a huge increase. Our problem is, especially with the school, is we don't have enough teachers to fill the classes, right? So I turn away about 200 apprentices or 200 students a year because I just don't have the teachers, right? And that's a tough one because, like you said, as people are retiring out, it's the younger guys that got to step up and be teachers. The younger guys don't have the confidence yet because they don't have that 20 years in the field to go be a teacher, right? I've got a few teachers that used to be students, and they're on the younger side of things, which is great. I love having old students come back to teach. Yep. But when I visit the classrooms, I'll say, who wants to be a teacher? And I don't usually get anybody raise their hand. And I say, maybe not now, but in 10 years, 15 years from now, when your body is broken down and you don't want to climb a ladder and dig a trench and connect hoses and plumbing and reach over your head and climb a ladder, be a teacher. Yeah. Right. You're right. A lot of people are aging out. So what I tell the students, even if they're going for their licenses, is not to stop. Keep going. Get every license you can. Go get that master plumber license. Go get that master pipe fitter. Because as people are aging out, companies need those masters, right? They need those masters to get permits, to have apprentices. And if you're just okay with just staying a journeyman the rest of your life, you're kind of limiting yourself because the more license you get, the more irreplaceable you are at your company. And then you can pretty much get that master and just go wherever you want. You can go to every company you want. But I would say, and then it's a tricky one for us because we don't quite know where do we go look for students. Do you go as far back as elementary school? Do you go back to middle school? Do you go back to high school? Right. So if you go to a regular high school, I think that's my opinion. You went to some regular high school. Those students already know what they want to do, kind of. Yeah. They already know they want to go to college, right? Whether it be a liberal arts or finance or business, whatever it is, right? They kind of, if you go to a trade school, you kind of know you want to get in the trades. You're already preparing yourself, right? So, if you go to a trade school, talk to students, they're already in a program. They already know what they're doing. If they're in a certain program, they get a certain number of hours when they're in school. So I think we have to go after the parents and educate the parents more because, I've got children that are in college, right? I've got a 23-year-old just finished. I've got one that just started. I kind of had hoped he would go into the trades because he saw what his older brothers went through paying back student loans, right? You can come to the Gould for a fraction of the price, pennies on the dollar pretty much, to get your trade education and be working and making money while you're going to school, right? And then you can come out of a 4-year or 5-year skills trade program and be making really good money and have very little college debt while all your buddies are coming back making the same amount of money, but they're going to pay back that $200,000 student loan. Yeah. Right. And then everybody needs a plumber. Everybody needs a carpenter. Everybody needs an electrician. Not everybody needs a finance guy. Not everybody needs a business major. Not everybody needs a liberal arts or a political science or a computer science major, right? But you need a plumber. You need an electrician. I mean, how many times I'm in my house like, gee, if I had just paid attention, I could have wired that light myself, or I could have, I could have done that work myself. Oh, I got to hire a plumber, and that's $200 an hour to come out, or whatever it costs for him to come out to my house, or an electrician. It's $100 just to get in the truck. It's $200 to come talk to me. Yeah. It's $300 for supplies. I'm into $1,000. If I had paid attention, I could have been doing the work myself. And I that's why I kind of like what I'm doing, because if I had someone that was in my position talk to me when I was 18 years old and said, listen, go in the trades, pick up a trade, go be a plumber, go be an electrician, get into refrigeration, go do something, because once you get that license, you can't take it away from you.
Yeah. Well, the only way they take it away is if you don't renew it. That's the only way. But all right, so the one thing I think is like a lot of people talk. What's like the one misconception that you think regular people, not just trades, regular people that have on trades that they just keep on saying and saying, and it just doesn't make sense. So it's not true.
I think I go back to when I was in high school, right? And when I was in middle school, right? And it was go to the trade school, and you went to the trade school back then if you were burnout, right? If you were you weren't gonna make it, right? You went to be a plumber because you weren't going to go to college, and college is where it's at. I think, the misconception is people go in the trades that are stupid or can't handle college, but you've got to be smart to get in the trades. And I always say to the students, who here loves math? And no one ever raises their hands, right? And I say, if you go into the trades, you need math. And I go, not in plumbing, I don't need math.
Oh,
really?
You're wrong. Yeah,
really?
You're wrong.
Really? And then I tell them, right? And I go, well, what about sheet metal? I said, sheet metal, you need math. Electrical, you need math, right? Every trade, you need math.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so if you weren't a good student in elementary and middle school, right, and then you go to high school, and you're not a good student, you think math's a joke, you're never going to use that stuff. Then you go be an electrician, you're like, man, I wish I'd pay attention. But the biggest misconception is people think that people in the trades aren't smart, and then it's below people, right? However, if you have that business major or that finance major and your toilet gets a clog, you're calling a plumber, and the plumber's coming to your house to whack you for a couple $100 to unclog that toilet or put a new toilet in.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
That's a great question. Yeah, I'd say that people think that, again, like Marines, people think Marines are stupid.
Yeah.
But I think people, and I think that a lot of parents don't want their kid to go be a plumber because there's no glory in being a plumber.
But you you see it though, how like, I personally, I feel like the tide's changing when people say like, oh, like you should go to college and not like work with your hands. I think the tide's changing where like you should actually really work with your hands, because with the rapid growth of AI, right, is taking so many jobs. Me personally, it can't take my job right now. Maybe 50 years when they design robots, but right now they can't take my job. Nope. You know what I mean? AI cannot do my job. Like, it's all hands on. So I think that's where the tide's turning, where it's like, okay, like AI is a really powerful thing.
I think too, the children. I think I'm thinking back to kids nowadays, right? Kids nowadays, no one's out building forts in the woods. No one's taking cars apart, right? Because you just can't anymore, right? And I don't know if back when I was a kid, I was running around building forts in the woods, and I would take my car apart, and I was building Legos and building stuff. I don't know if kids are doing that anymore. And the trades can be a dirty job.
It
and
can
you're gonna be working outside, and you're gonna work some long days. You're gonna be up early. So if your gig is I want to sleep till noontime every day, well then the trades probably aren't for you.
Nope.
Because the job site starts at 6:30, right? And you might have to drive 2 hours to the job site, and then it's cold. You're not working in a warm office behind a keyboard and a computer screen. You're outside. You're crawling around the dirt. You're in someone's crawl space. It's hot. You're on the roof of some building. It's 99 degrees outside. You're on the roof and you're fixing an AC unit, but you gotta have a passion for it.
It's a different mindset, because not a normal person can wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do what we do. You know what I mean?
And that's important, because if you don't have a passion for it, and I try to tell this to my teachers, the teachers have a passion for the trades, they have a passion for their job, and they'll say the students have that passion. Well, you can teach people how to do math, you can teach people how to bend sheet metal, but you can't teach the passion side. And if you're not passionate about it, like live and breathe and eat plumbing, or live, breathe and eat and sleep electrical, some students don't care. They just see it as a way. My father owns the company, and my father said I got to get my license.
Yeah.
And then they trudge their way through until they get their license, and then they're making a lot of money, right, with very little college debt. And then they're running the business. It says Mike Maloney Plumbing on the side of their trucks, and then they're doing all right. They're doing all right.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I noticed. So before I got into the trades, I was working at this high school in Providence, and they really push the whole college prep thing, but they don't so much push the trades. And a lot of the parents want the same thing. They want the kids to go to college, to go to those Ivy League schools, to show off, like, oh, my kid went to Brown, my kid went to Yale, my kid went. But if you say your kid is an electrician, it's like, oh, that's it. But I think the conversation is changing, to Tiago's point, and especially when you figure out, like, actually, side by side, if you take an electrician who owns their own business and a lot of these people who are finance managers, you're like, actually, they're making a lot more money than you would assume, and like, what, you know, the dirty job is actually making much more money than the clean job, and there's a whole misconception there. But a lot of the reason why
that's why we, you know, when we go and talk to students, I think we're talking to the wrong demographic. We should be talking to the parents, trying to figure out from the parents, especially if you've got kids out there that don't know what they want to do, right? I knew I wanted to be an architect when I was younger. When I was in junior high school, I wanted to be an architect. That was kind of what I wanted to do. That's kind of what drew me into that side of things, was drawing buildings, designing buildings. That's kind of what I want to do coming out of high school.
Yep.
You know, but for, you know, to tell the parents that for the kids that don't know what they want to do, why not give the trades a try? Maybe they're good with their hands. Maybe they like, you know, building with their hands, and you know, they don't like the idea. Some people can't sit behind a computer all day. Some people can't sit and stare at a computer screen. They want to go do something with their hands. And I think that's
my question, right? Say if you do come from, you know, like a father figure that grew up in the trades, has his own like electrical plumbing business, would it be more successful or more of a chance where his son would follow his footsteps, or would his son like do his own thing? You know what I mean? I see that a lot where one of my buddies, he, you know, his dad's a very successful painter, you know, he owns a paint company, but he never really like truly followed the footsteps. So
yeah, that's I mean, I've seen it. I've worked for a lot of first gen, second generation companies.
Yeah.
I think that if I start a business, right, and I'm working my fingers to the bone, I'm never around, right? I'm never around to see baseball games and practices and Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts and go to things. And, you know, mom's left to do everything by themselves. Maybe my kid doesn't want to work like that. You know, my kid doesn't want me, you know, I'm getting phone calls in the middle of the night. I got, you know, broken pipes. I got to work crazy hours. I'm working weekends, I'm working nights. Most of those second generation people, they don't want that. I don't want to work like my dad worked. I'd rather go to school, become a, you know, maybe I'll be a business manager, go work for somebody else and never have the headaches to own my own business. It's really hard. I think it's very hard to, again, pass that passion on to the next. You know, you know, maybe I bring my kid from a young age to the job site, and he gets to see what kind of things are. Maybe I teach my kid early on that, hey, if it wasn't for me working like this, we wouldn't have a nice house and a pool and vacation, and I got a car and a motorcycle and a boat and a summer house. And, you know, I think it all depends. Like I said, I've seen so many second gen, third gen companies that are like, this kid's like, I don't want to go do what Dad did. Dad was never around. Dad worked 12-hour days, 7 days a week. I'm not doing it.
But it was the sacrifices that the dad made to have what they have now. And I think sometimes they lose sight of that, especially at like a young age, like 18, 19 years old. They're not probably thinking about that. Probably when they mature up and start to, like, you know, live life, they understand that shit. So I think it's more, for me personally, like, you know, getting your licenses in whatever trade you want to do, now you have that freedom of like, oh wait, I can open up my own company and I don't feel shackled by working with a company. I can make my own hours. I can make my own pay. You know, I can spend time. Like, I think that's what the kind of like the reward is when you get your licenses and everything like that, and then you wanted to like do your own thing. I think that's the major reward of it. You know,
and that's why it's so important. You know, when we're talking to parents, or even like, I love when the younger teachers talk to the apprentices and the students, right? Because the younger teacher can say, hey, listen, I was once like you. 5 years ago, I was just like you. I was sitting in the same exact seat. I was taking the same classes. I was like, oh my God, I got to go to this class. I just worked all day. But get your license, do the time, study your ass off, get that license. Then when you get that plumbing license or that electrical license, you know, you want to go work for some guy for $45 an hour. The guy that's just going to pay you $47.50. You go work for the $47.50.
Yeah,
that's it. And then you keep going. And then I wish I had done it, because I wish I could have worked for a company and then maybe own my own little side gig and then do little side hustles on the side on the weekends.
Yeah.
Name my own price. So the company, my daytime job pays all my bills, right? They're paying for my health insurance. They're paying for all my 401k. I got a good job. I'm working Monday through Friday. Saturday morning, I'm at someone's house from 6 to 12 in the 6 in the morning till noontime, just doing a quick little side job, make myself a few $1,000. I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd done that.
Yeah. So what is the pitch to parents then, right? Because it's like the whole narrative is go to high school, college prep, go to college, get a degree. Like how do we shift that narrative? like if you have the floor to parents, if there's a bunch of parents in front of us right now, like what's the pitch to them? How do we change this for them?
I think explaining to the parents the costs associated. So if you went to a state school, it's going to cost you $20,000 a year times 4 is $80,000. If you came to the Gould, it's going to cost you X times 4 years to get your electrical license, right? And they're working at the same time, right? So maybe it's $10,000 for your tuition to come to the Gould, and while instead of just going off to school, you're going to work during the day, and you're going to make 25 or 30 bucks an hour as an apprentice, 25 an hour, 40 hours a week. You know, they're going to be putting some money in the bank, and then when they get done, most of these, because we don't have like a financial aid thing at the school, they've got to pay. So by the time they get out of electrical school after 4 years, take their license, they don't have any college debt. They're done. They're not working.
Yeah.
They can go work multiple jobs, go build a side gig, go grab a couple of your buddies and make your own little side gig and start doing stuff on the side. That's, it comes down to the costs, right? And it comes down to, I think that if you talk to someone who's in the finance field or the, business management field or liberal arts field, people can find a job. These guys can, but electricians, there's lots of work. Welders, pipe fitters, plumbers, carpenters, there's work. There's a ton of work, and you can see it. You go into the city, you see the cranes on the side of the buildings. People are busy. People are building, whether it be residential houses or it's commercial buildings or it's high rises or pharmaceutical. You'll be busy, and you can make yourself a lot of money without the college debt.
Yeah, and I think the whole pitch for college is like you come out of college, and if you're a desirable career like engineering or something, you can make that 6-figure salary. But man, I met a lot of plumbers and electricians. Once they have that journeyman and master license, they're there and beyond. If they're doing side work, it's they're making some serious bread, and I think that's part of the message where it's like, hey, it might not look that glorious, but it's
right.
It is.
But you make, who cares? You're making money.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. And again, I love when my younger teachers say, I was just like you, and see that motorcycle outside, that $30,000 motorcycle I just bought? I paid cash for it.
Yeah.
Right? So let me show you my boat. Let me show you my family on vacation in Disney World. Let me show you on, this is my wife's brand new car. And this is, I just bought my kid a car. All right. Even my teachers that teach, they teach a couple nights a week. They'll make some good money. They put all that money aside. They take their family on vacation every summer. They're passionate about the trades. They want to pass on their knowledge. They want the next generation to learn from them, and that's important to the teachers.
And so if a parent hears you out and they say like, oh, I kind of do want to get my kid into the trades or try this whole thing out. How does it work? So a kid graduates high school, or they can be in high school and still go to Gould? Like, how does that kind of work out?
Yeah. So in order to so you've got to have a high school diploma to come to the Gould. They can come right out of high school. If you went to a trade school in Massachusetts and it's been approved by that trade board, they may get some like credit, I guess, for hours, like plumber.
Yeah, like plumbers,
Yeah.
The vocational school that I went to, you get the first 3 tiers.
That's great.
So,
Tiago would have a huge leg up on like just some kid coming out of a local high school, right? So Tiago at 18 years old already has 3 years of plumbing under his belt, right? He only did 2 more years. He could be a licensed plumber at 20, whereas my son, who went to a regular traditional high school, is going to do 5 years of plumbing in order to get his even attempt that. So my kid's going to be 23. Tiago's going to be 22, right? Or whatever. But Tiago's, he gets credit. Different trades do different credits, I guess.
Yeah. Field Pulse is the field service management software for field service pros like you. Whether you're a small business looking to grow or a large company ready to scale, it's got everything you need all in one platform. Advanced features for CRM, estimates and invoices, scheduling and dispatching, good, better, best proposals, maintenance plans, and price booking. Plus, Field Pulse integrates with software you're already using, like QuickBooks Online and Desktop, so you can hit the ground running without changing everything about how you work. By simplifying your day-to-day operations, Field Pulse saves you time, keeps your team organized, and gives you the tool to increase productivity and profitability. It's not just us saying this. Field Pulse has earned an average 4.8-star rating across nearly 600 reviews. To learn more, head over to fieldpulse.com. That's field, P-U-L-S-E, pulse.com.
But you can come right out of high school, even if you're maybe not in high school, maybe you're working as a Domino's delivery guy. You've been there for a couple of years, or you're delivering pizza, or you're a DoorDash or an Uber guy, and you want to try to, or you're a firefighter, let's say, you're getting ready to retire, and you want to pick up a trade, you can come to school. You got to find a company that will sign off on your apprentice hours, right? That's important. Every trade has some sort of work hours associated with it.
Do you guys help with that at all, like finding the job, or?
Yeah, we don't do that. The school's not permitted to kind of do that because it's something with the state. It's something with the laws of the state.
Right.
We have a workforce development person on the ABC side that may be able to help them find a job. So the workforce development would help you find a job. But and it's really tough right now because if you call around and say I want to be a electrical apprentice, so you're hiring new people. A lot of places aren't hiring new people right off the bat.
Yep.
So you got to try to make a few phone calls, get a job with someone that can sign off on your hours. And it's just you work during the day and go to school at night.
And that's the move. It's to call around to some companies, see if you can kind of get a foot in the door, then kind of domino from there.
Yep. Hey, listen, now I'm thinking about becoming an electrician. You guys hiring apprentices? They may say yes. They may say no, not yet. Every job, no matter where you go, doesn't matter trades or not. Everybody wants experienced people, right? They don't want to spend the time to train you. So if you could find a company, maybe it's a mom and pop electrical shop or a mom and pop plumbing place. Doesn't have very many people, and they can train you because they need a few people. That's kind of what you're hoping for.
Yeah. If you can, Mike, is there like a kind of like a success story of maybe maybe someone at CJI that you can think right off the top of your head that's like that maybe they didn't think about being in the trades, now they're like owning their own business, something like a success story in that sense.
Yeah, so I got here in 2020, right? I got here just at kind of the start of COVID. So I'm trying to think about a particular apprentice. We've had a couple of apprentices that come through, after they left high school. Maybe they were on an IEP in high school. Maybe they had a disability that made it hard for them to learn, so they went in the trades. And it's harder, right? Because when you're out in the secondary, post-secondary stuff, there's not like an IEP for the students, right? You got to study, you got to put your time in, right? We don't have like a counselor that can help them. We've had a few students, right, overcome some of those challenges, and they've said to us, I'll never be able to pass this test. I get really freaked out about the test. I get really freaked out about taking a test. I can't study, I can't think. And these guys have gone on and passed the test first try, right? And have done really well. And they're off, once they get that German's license, they can make a lot more money, right? They can ask for money, they get paid better in overtime, they can go to a better company, Yeah, we've had a few students, I would say, that, I won't say the names, but like I said, a few that maybe we were a little nervous about, that we didn't think we were going to make it, and they put the time in and took the test and passed.
Yeah.
It was good on them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those kids too, man, they don't do well in the traditional school of having to sit down and all that sort of stuff. But once you get them in a different environment, what's that quote? It's like, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you'll always think it's dumb or something like that. It's that same sort of idea, I think.
Yeah. and that's why people get in the trades, right? Because they don't want to sit behind a computer, and they don't want to study, grammar, and they don't want to do essays. They don't want to do, they don't want to take, a statistics class. They don't want to take they want to be out there. They want to get up in the morning. They want to work with their hands. They want to build something. They want to put something together with their hands, use their brains, and then go home, right? And that's what that's all about. That's what the trade is all about.
Going back to what you just said, so you started. I know that you said you were talking about like 2020 at Gould. That was kind of like the year of online schooling, right? Yeah. It was very, very difficult to like do anything hands-on.
Yep.
What was that like? Like that must have been such a huge obstacle, especially for the trades, because like it's kind of damn near impossible to go to an online school to learn about plumbing, electrical, HVAC, whatever. At least for me, like I think some people are better hands-on. I think people can't really do the online route. So like kind of explain to me how that really worked.
Yeah, so one of the very first challenges I had to deal with when I first got onto the Goulds, and again, I waited my whole life for a work-from-home job, and I got it with the Gould, right? And everybody else is home at the same time. So my kids are home, my ex-wife was home. It's crazy, right? My very first challenge was to teach these teachers how to use Zoom, right? How to teach a class through Zoom. So some of these guys have never even touched a computer, let alone touched Zoom, right? Or figured out Zoom, how to log in, how to use the microphone, how to use a camera, how to teach through Zoom, right? Because when you're in front of a class, you can read people's body expressions, you can read their faces, you can hear them breathing, you can see them. With a Zoom class, you can't see that. And like Tag was saying, how do you teach a plumber how to plumb a toilet through a Zoom? You just teach in theory. That's kind of what that's kind of what the trade classes are pretty much based upon, is theory, because they get all that on the job training from the journeyman on the job site. So teaching a lot of theory. Here's what a toilet looks like. Here's what the pipes look like. I would love for us at the Gould here to do more practical app. Have the teachers, because I think a lot of journeymen on the field they're runners, right? They're running up and down the truck. They're going to the supply warehouse. They're going to the truck. Get me a 10-foot length of pipe. Get me a 3/4 inch copper. Go to the supply warehouse. Get me 15 fittings. I don't know if necessarily if the journeyman actually showing the apprentices anything. So to have us show, and not everybody not all of our students are in the trades. Some can't find a job, right? So they're, as an apprentice, they're just learning, right? And if they don't work out in the field, how do they get that on the job training?
And that kind of brings me to so after we're about 5 years post COVID now, which is a weird thing to even say, and it brought to my attention. I'm going to take a quick detour here, but it brought to my attention, right? I work with a lot of older generation guys, plumbers that grew up in the early 2000s, where it was so different. Everything was either soldered or, there wasn't the technology that we had now, where we have Pro Press, Mega Press, these special fittings that go in, fuse piping, all that. My thing is, right, when you see these younger guys come in, Mike, the work ethic, do you think, right, the younger generation's work ethic is not even up to par to how it was back in the old school days? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely very different, and I've said this before to other people, every generation craps on the next generation, right? No one ever works hard enough. Guys are lazy, you got the best generation, right? You got the baby boomers, you got those, the old school, right? And then you got the Gen X people, and you got the Gen Ys, and then even today, I think that some generations, they get complacent, right? Especially you can't build a house working from home. You can't plumb a toilet if you're working from home.
Wish.
Everybody wants to work from
wish.
Everybody wants to work from home. Right? Everybody wants to work from home. I want to work from home job. I want to make 6 figures working from home. Well, that's not for everybody. You got to put the time in. You got to go be a plumber. You got to get up in the morning and go plumb. And I think that again, because the trades were crapped on for so long, the trades were just don't get in the trades. You're dumb if you get in the trades. There's no money in it. Don't push everyone to college, right? So I think that it may take a couple of years to, and I know that local trade schools here in Massachusetts, there's a waiting list of people to get into the programs. Yeah. It's not like it used to be where, you're not going to college, go to trade schools, and you just do culinary and plumbing and auto body and then whatever, right? And you get out and get a job, whatever. But it's different now. They've got cybersecurity. They've got more computer science stuff. They've got coding and video games, and again, the plumbing programs and all the trades programs, carpentry. I know guys are building furniture, beautiful pieces of furniture, that once they get out of that school and they can go work for a furniture place or build your own furniture is amazing. That's unbelievable. Or even a welding, right? In Massachusetts, there's no license for welding, but we get calls every day from people looking for a welding class. I can't find a teacher, right? I can't find a spot to do it because you need specialized equipment and specialized ventilation to do it. Yep. But welding, a lot of people want to learn how to be a welder. And that's, and you can make huge money being a welder, right? You can write your own ticket, same with a heavy equipment operator or an excavator. You get, someone's going to pay you $100 an hour to dig a hole in the ground, put dirt in the back of a dump truck. That's it. That's $100 an hour.
Can't beat
crazy.
I can't beat it. Nah, cannot beat it. Yeah. But the reason why I say the work ethic thing, and I see it with my own eyes every day, I'm 30. I'm living that I don't know what you would call it, Gen. What am I? Millennial. Yeah, millennial. Yeah. But and then I see these 18, 19-year-old kids working with me, and it's such. One, it's a weird feeling because I'm like, yo, dude, you were born in what year? 2007? What? What? Yep. It just mind boggles me sometimes. Yep. It's I was born in 2007. I'm like, huh? Yep. I was like, nah, that's not real. It shows me a day.
Back in my day. In my day.
I'm legally obliged to hit it with that line now. So, but I see it, and I won't won't name drop, but the other day it wasn't my company. I watched it happen with another company. I was on the job site and I'm installing tubs into apartments. One of the carpenters, I think it was a carpenter, I don't know which one, but he was sleeping in my tub. Yeah, he was sleeping in my tub, and I'm like, no way.
Was he a younger guy?
Young guy, like fresh out of high school.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, no fucking way.
That can't be that comfortable.
Oh.
Dude, like, I don't think this guy gave a damn, to be honest with you. He was like, I need, like, if you had a rough night, you know, like, oh, man, like, rough night meaning, like, oh, shit, like, you know, something happened, like, my goldfish had to get transported to the hospital, type shit, where, like,
devastating.
not... but you know what? You get the context, though. You know what I mean? You get the context. But not like, yeah, I've been up since 5 a.m. playing Warzone, Call of Duty, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And now you're tired. It's like, buddy, this is how it is. Like, dude, knocked out cold. And I'm like, I was like, oh, my goodness. Like, this is insane. This is crazy. So,
how'd you wake him up? Did you wake him up?
no, I walked away. That's not my job to wake him up. Fuck that.
Yeah, that's it.
I honestly... Ironically enough, his foreman did come around, and he was like, I was like, hey, man, you might want to check room, whatever fucking that room was. Yeah. And he walked in, he was like, what the fuck? Like, but, like, yeah, not my job to wake up people, man. My job is to do some plumbing. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That literally, the whole work ethic thing is what brought that to full fruition. You know what I mean? It was mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, that for some reason, it's never going to go away, right? Because everybody... You know, whoever this kid was, wherever he got his work ethic before, and there are some people, and I know some people that don't start working until they get out of high school. I mean, I started at 14.
Yeah.
Right. My kids started at 14, 15 years old because I want them to understand the importance of, all right, you have to be to work for 8 in the morning. You got to get up at 7, take a shower, get dressed, and then get there. Right. Some people nowadays, they don't start working until they're 18, 19 years old, so they don't know anything about work ethic or working with people that are older or younger or having to be someplace on time, because if they were in high school and they showed up late, mom sent them a note. You know, I was, when I was with Duncan's, you know, you get people that were just calling sick just to call in sick. Like, no, I need you here to work. I need you. I'm counting on you. Like, I don't care. I'm off sick. Leave me alone. Or even nowadays, and it happens a lot, you know, I work 9 to 5, so at 5 o'clock I shut my phone off and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Well, I don't come from that realm. I come from the world of, you know, 5 o'clock. You may not be working in the house, but if someone calls me, I still answer the phone. Yeah. Right? If an apprentice calls or a teacher calls me or if something happens in a building or, you know, that's just how I've been wired.
You're programmed that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And my whole work time has always been go 100 miles an hour, do 40 things at once. So I can juggle multiple emails, multiple phone calls. I can do all that, whereas I don't think some people just aren't built like that. They didn't. I've been this way since I was a little kid. I didn't start when I hit the workforce at 40 years old. Right? I've been doing this for work since I was 14. I've been working jobs. I worked 2 jobs. I've had to provide for my family. So if I get laid off, I didn't sit back and wait for the checks to come in from the state. I went to work.
Yeah,
I had to.
I had to.
Right. I had to provide, and I don't know if there's very many people out there like that. They would be like, "Oh, you laid off. I'm just gonna take the summer off. Oh well, you know."
Oh, there is. I know. There are definitely some people out there like that.
I'm not. And I say, you know, I'm 52 almost, right? I don't want to retire. What am I gonna retire to? Sit in my house all day and watch Judge Judy? No, I'm gonna work till I can't work anymore. Have to cart me in here in a wheelchair. I'm not going to retire. I'm not sitting back playing shuffleboard down in Florida. No way. That might change.
Maybe in the Southern California you'll play shuffleboard. Who knows?
I would definitely have long hair and a big beard if I was in Southern California right now, because I would not. Yeah, no, that's. Oh, I loved San Diego. I loved Los Angeles. I'd go back in a minute.
I love it, man. This is awesome.
If they would transport me back to that time, oh my god, the people, the cars, the weather alone sold. I was like, never having to deal with snow and salt and shoveling. I'm in. I don't care. I would have lived on the beach in a car.
Hold on a second. Right? We have the snow. We have the cold weather. these motherfuckers have earthquakes. These these guys have earthquakes. You know, they have. I don't think you guys. I'm assuming California doesn't get tornadoes, right? No, right?
Wildfires, right?
Yeah, big time wildfires.
Crazy wildfires, right? I guess you know, and then. Even like down south, right? People are like, oh, everyone says, let's live down south. It's so much cheaper to live. Well, it's so much cheaper to live because
the cost of the cost of living is different down there.
And then the trades in down south. A storm hits down south, the whole neighborhood's wiped out. Whereas here in the Northeast, they get 10 inches of snow. There's no houses are caving in from the snow.
No,
it's built different.
Yeah,
right. And that comes down to licensing. And down south, you could be DoorDash 1 minute, next day you're an electrician. Next day you're delivering pizza. And then you're going back to being now you're a plumber all of a sudden. Right? Because there's no permits, there's no licensing, no one cares. And then when the storm comes through, the house is totally leveled and you lose everything. Right? I'd rather have this. I say this now, but I don't know. If I had a chance to go to Florida, if I could go, maybe one day. Because it's the weather, right?
Yeah,
and I hate the roads in New England. The roads in New England stink.
Yeah.
It's just
damn potholes all over the goddamn place.
Yeah, potholes. And then the snow, and then your car gets filthy. I just look at a nice clean car. California, everyone's happy, smiling. No one's angry at the cold and the bitter cold and the rain and the snow, the brown snow. Ugh.
The yellow snow, all that shit.
The yellow snow. Yeah, I'd go back if there was a time machine that said, "Michael, taking you back," I'd be down to go.
I think you guys just got to open up a Gould over here in San Diego and bridge.
Hey,
just an idea,
leading all the surface to the next generation of trades. I love it.
I would close school early just to go surfing at the beach the other day. Oh man,
that's awesome. So
love it.
Let's take a little bit of a right turn right now, right? You are a podcast host just like us. You know, you have the Build Zone podcast. So kind of tell me how that all began. I love asking this question because everyone always asks, like, oh, how did the Tools Legit podcast begin? It's like, oh, how did the Build Zone podcast actually begin? How did this all start?
We some of us here at the Gould attended a meeting with the folks from OSHA, right? So OSHA Institute came down here. We have a partnership with OSHA up in Manchester, New Hampshire. They do some safety training for us up in OSHA at the Institute up in Manchester. And they were talking about shooting promotional videos for classes they were going to be having. And they talked about a podcast and how important they thought a podcast would be. And one of the gentlemen here in the office, his name was Dan. Him and I were talking about podcasts before because he was doing his own podcast for his fantasy football league. Oh. So I was like, I'm kind of interested to learn more about that, right? Like, how does that work? So we started talking about it. So I left a meeting with Ocean. I said, all right, we're going to do our own ABC podcast. He can do the production piece, the hosting piece. I'll book the guests, and we had someone from the Gould here do some marketing for us. So we did, 40, 50 episodes maybe. We were doing once a week, which was great. Dan had since left ABC Mass, went to do his own thing with another company. I picked up the ball and ran with it because we were already 50, 60 episodes in, close to 100. And I kind of made it my goal to keep it going. Because once you get to that 100 threshold, right, you've got a pretty good baseline of listeners. And I kind of have a built-in audience anyways because it's ABC Mass. They've got so many members. You know, we use it as a member benefit. You can come on the podcast. You don't have to be a member. I've had some non-members come on, and we just ran with it. We're the only chapter in the country, ABC Mass, with a weekly produced podcast. There are 67 chapters around the country. We're the only one with a weekly podcast. We've grown it, right? I've got a YouTube channel, the Build Zone Podcast. You know, I take guests every week. We shoot the recording. I take the video a couple days later, a few weeks later. Video I can do more things with. I can put logos up. I can put sponsor logos. And the podcast is almost self-sustaining. I've raised enough money through sponsorships to buy, I have a consultant. I meet with a consultant. I bought equipment. I bought mics. I bought lighting. I bought a background. I paid for the software to edit the video piece. And I've been recognized by ABC National. I've had some ABC National folks come on, a marketing person, a technology person, a workforce development person. I'm going to have the president of ABC National be on the podcast for the 200th episode, which is cool.
That's awesome.
And it's actually the future. Podcasts are the future. People are getting their information. They can get in the car, turn the podcast on, listen to it for half hour, 40 minutes on the way in, half hour, 40 minutes on the way out. get their information. So we talk a lot about upcoming events, upcoming trainings. You know, we banter a little bit. I have a new co-host, Sarah, so she's on with me. She's great. You know, it's fun because I get to meet a lot of great people. I like to talk to people. I like to network with people. You know, it's just you know, let's raise enough money. I've raised quite a bit of money to pay for the podcast for itself. So like I said, the consultant's great. I meet with them every week. They give me some great ideas, great pointers, things I'm doing right, things I should work on. You know, they're telling you, you know, if you want to go next level, here's what you got to do. But it's been a tough sell because not everybody understands the power, A, of social media, and B, the power of a podcast.
Yep.
Right? Older people are like, nah, I don't listen to podcasts. I'm not on social media. I don't follow that stuff. Well, that's where people get their information from. You know, no one's picking up an old-fashioned newspaper and reading a newspaper. No one's picking up a magazine and reading a magazine. I can't remember the last time I read a magazine, right? I used to buy like a Road and Track, but why buy $6 magazine and get off the internet for free, right? So to be able to produce a podcast that, you know, we get a couple hundred listens a week per episode, and it's, you know, it's construction-based, construction-themed, but I've had a few people come on. Like I had one gentleman come on one time and talk about drones and where the drone technology is. And this gentleman here trains people on the spectrum to fly drones, right? Because maybe that's the job they can do. They can't sit in an office and they can't go on a construction site, but they understand how to fly a drone. And he trains people. It's free training. It's all government-funded. Trains people how to fly a drone, coordinates them to go to work. And then they go out and they'll fly drones around like a college campus and survey a campus. Wow. Or they'll go and survey an abandoned building, or they'll survey a bridge looking for cracks or a structure that you can't get a man up there on the side of the building, but they can fly a drone. That was pretty cool. I've had you know, quite a few veterans come on. I've had some guys from the Marine Corps come on that we talked to a bit about. I love talking to people about company culture, company atmosphere, what's a healthy atmosphere. I've had some women leaders, and you know, and again, ABC members come on. They'll talk about projects or awards they've won, or you know, someone's been promoted. They want to talk about it, but yeah, it's fun. It's a good. I think it's amazing. It's great. I'm very appreciative that I have the type of job where I can do that.
Oh, I thought you had something to say, Alex. My bad.
No.
What do you think the impact that you had so far on the industry, at least? Do you think you're like what's the age group that you're really trying to like hit home? Are you trying to hit the younger generation, or are you trying to hit like, you know, the older guys, or are you doing a mix of both, you know?
I think it's a little bit of both. You know, some of the numbers that we pulled from the consultants were 37% of our audience is like 35 to 44, right? And you know, I think that maybe not so many younger people are looking at this, but I think a lot of the business owners, the ABC Massachusetts, are looking for this information. You know, they'll listen to hear about upcoming events, upcoming trainings, some announcements, maybe some member updates. And then if the guest is relevant to what they're doing, right? Maybe they want to learn about something new, or maybe it's a member that wants to work with, say, like a Callahan Construction Managers. And I have Stephen Callahan on, who's the vice president over there. And they you know, he says, listen, we're looking to work with different types of companies, and they connect with each other. That's even better. It's even better. Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of, you know, even the membership director here at ABC Mass, you know, she'll tell people, if you join, you can be on the podcast, and they'll join and immediately want to come on the podcast with me and just talk about it. Because it's like a commercial, too. They can talk about their business for 20 minutes. They want to talk about, you know, they're working on a special project, or they're using some new technology, or, you know, I think it's great. It's amazing.
And what's great, do you ever get those, like, because I know that me and Alex, we've gotten a few people where it's like, podcast, I've never been on one. I don't know how to do it. And it's like, that's pretty easy. You're just talking to a microphone, and we kind of take care of the rest. Do you ever get that, like, you know, like those people of like, oh, I don't know, nah, podcast ain't for me. But it's like, you know, why?
I get that. I get really nervous, and then it's like, what? They're like, well, what are you gonna ask me? I'm like, I don't tell anybody.
I don't pre-make my questions.
Yeah, right.
No. And I do this thing on my podcast called the Lightning Round. I ask the guests 10 rapid-fire questions, and it's more silly than anything. It really is. It's like favorite sandwich. You know, if you could eat dinner with anybody, who would you be with? And I'll have some people will be like, "Well, can you tell me what those questions are going to be?" I'm like, "No, I pull from a random pile of questions." Right?
Yeah.
And then I've had some people like listen to previous episodes to try to see if I'm going to ask them the same questions, and I don't. I usually mix it up every time. Sometimes I play a game. You know, I play this game called Stump the Millennial. You know, my co-host is a millennial. I'll ask him stuff that maybe the millennial might not understand. I've had my co-host ask, like, Stump the Gen Xer, try to ask me things that maybe a Gen X person wouldn't know. It's just, it's all about the fun, right? If it highlights ABC Mass and all the great things we're doing, again, maybe it's a recap about an event. Maybe it's an award ceremony. We talk about some of the awards it was.
Yeah.
Or like a network event. We talk a little bit about how great the networking event was. And then, but the podcast skills have enabled me to branch out too. So when I go to an event, I make a video for the event. I use the software that we use for the podcast to edit the video for. It could be like a 1 minute long, step into safety day. It's just a 1 minute long little video that people can click on, and they'd rather click on a video and watch on YouTube than pick up a magazine or a newspaper and read about it in a newspaper.
Yeah.
They're on the go, right? They're in the office. They've got their phones. They're in the car. They want to hear it, listen to it. I've had some people call me and say, listen, it's Monday. Where's the new episode? And I go, oh, it's coming out later. Well, no, we listen to it every Monday at 8 o'clock on our staff meeting. And I go, holy cow, people listen to it? And I go, yep, we listen to it every Monday, 8 a.m. in the staff meeting. I go, holy shit, I gotta get on this.
Yeah.
So consistency is huge, making sure it comes out every week. People plan on it. That's another thing the consultant said. If you're going to come out every Monday, come out every Monday at 8 o'clock. People count on it. They want to see it. They set their clock by it every week. So we did that. We come out every Monday with new episodes. So it's 185. I think I just recorded 185 today. I was hoping to have 200 by like Christmas time, but I don't think I'm going to make it. I need like 15 weeks. What's that? No, I'm not going to make it. So just after the first, we'll have 200 episodes.
Oh yeah, I love that, man. We're on our way. We're on our way.
Yeah, and then it's not the Joe Rogan thing, right? Joe Rogan's got a 4-hour podcast. These guys. So, like, it's not like a Kill Tony thing where you're 4 hours long. It's a half hour. It gets right to the point. We get in there. We talk about upcoming events, some news, some member updates. Right into the guest. The guest is 20 minutes. And I record everything through Zoom. You guys do everything through this Riverside app. Is a great app to use. I've used this as well. And I just edit everything through Zoom. Bing, bang, boom, done. And, if it gets out there and it gets up on social media and people like it, listen to it, follow it. If people listen to it for the first 5 minutes and just get upcoming events, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yep.
Do you ever go into like overtime? Do you ever go to like with the guests, like, Because
I try to wrap it up.
Okay.
The consultant said anything more than 25 or 30 minutes, no one's listening. Yeah, 25 or 30 minutes, no one's listening. Yeah, they're gone. Yeah, 30 minutes, they go like, this is too much, I'm out. Unless you're a Rogan, unless you've got something mind-blowingly interesting on there, like a Rogan or like a Tony Hinchcliffe or like a Sean Ryan or a Theo Vaughn or one of those guys that are really crazy.
Like characters, yeah.
Characters.
Yeah, I gotcha. Do you think podcasting really helps bridge the gap in this industry?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that especially if you're trying to learn more about ABC Mass or the Gould, right? And again, if you just pick up a little bit of information, or like I said, an upcoming event, if you're interested in listening to upcoming news, or you're trying to learn about what ABC Mass has to offer, the podcast is, because again, you can listen to it in the car.
Yeah.
Right? You can listen to it when your kids are at softball practice or soccer practice. You got your phone and you just listen to it real quick. You watch or listen to it. It's, again, better than reading a newspaper or a magazine article.
It's quicker, you know what I mean? It's just you don't even need to watch it. You can just put on the audio and that's it.
Yep.
You're banging out housework, whatever you got to do, and listening at the same time.
Right.
For sure. What's been the biggest thing you've learned from podcasting?
Biggest thing from podcasting. One of the things I talk really fast. So to publicly talk and slow down a little bit has definitely been a real challenge. Definitely come out of my comfort zone and talking to some people I may not normally get to talk to. Right? I don't mind networking. I don't mind shaking people's hands. I don't mind meeting people. The podcast helps with that because someone will say, "Oh, we'll go to an event and I'll have a podcast." And, "Oh my God, you're the guy from the podcast. I want to come on. I heard you. I know your voice sounded familiar." I'm like, "Oh my God." All right, I guess. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's just it's passion, right? It's a passion about the trades. I'm passionate about the information that ABC Mass is trying to get out there, and I love what the Gould's trying to do, trying to get people in the trades and through their education, get them out there. That's like we talk to the teachers. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Get them in class, get them the license, spark the interest, spark the passion, so maybe they want to come back and teach, right? Because I'm sure you guys in your careers, or your lifetime, you can remember a couple of teachers that really made an impact on you. Mm-hmm. And I want my teachers to be that one person that made an impact on those students. If they say, maybe it's 10 years from now, I may be gone. They say, "Oh man, I had, Mr. O'Laughlin was my sheet metal teacher, and he sparked interest in me to teach, and I'm gonna come back and teach for you guys." Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, I love that. So I have a confession to make, Mike. I've listened to your podcast episodes multiple times, and I recently started doing this with my podcast. I've done the whole lightning round questions. So I'm like, that's such a great. I'm like, man, this guy's on his shit. He knows what he's doing. Like, I love it. I love the 10 random series. Just like, yeah. So normally I don't pick out of a hat. I literally go on ChatGPT. I'm like, give me the most 10 randomest. Give me the most 10 randomest like lightning round questions that you can ask.
All right.
Today it threw me a curveball, okay? Because it threw me a curveball because I normally just say, "Oh, like give me 10 lightning round questions." This is why AI is like a little bit like scary to me. They were like, "Oh, do you want it like do you want what style would you want? Do you want Joe Rogan style? You want like Tony Hinchcliffe?"
Crazy.
Yeah, and like
crazy.
How do you know this?
Yep.
So
it knows.
I'm like, yeah, dude, this is fucking weird. But we're gonna do it. 10 lightning round questions, absolutely random. All right, let me see.
What I tell people is if you boo or say skip, if you skip or say pass, I boo you in post-production. So if someone says, because and I try to ask political questions because you don't want anybody to go down that slope, right?
No,
so I'm going to skip. As soon as they skip, I'm in post-production, I give them the boo. I tell them that. I say, if you skip or say pass, I'm not gonna, I mean, these are easy questions. These are softballs, right? I'm not asking, philosophical questions about, Play-Doh or things like that. Favorite sandwich and why? Oh, I love a good cheesesteak.
Oh man,
so
that's a boo. Like what's? I'm just curious. What questions would they skip? Like, oh, what's your favorite color? Skip.
No, the ones that people like. If you could add anybody to Mount Rushmore, who would it be? And they're like, I think people want to say Trump. They want to say, I'll put Trump, but they know that
it's going to cause like a rise,
cause some problems. So they go, I'm going to skip, and I just go boo. The post
You should have a button right next to you saying like boo.
Yeah, I've again in the video piece, if they say something like, I think I asked Steve Callahan from Callahan Construction Managers, who do you think you look like, or has anybody ever told you look like somebody famous? He said some golfer. I don't know much about the golfing scene, so I literally in the video piece put a picture of the golfer next to him, and he looked just like him. I was like, holy cow, that's uncanny. It's uncanny.
That's awesome.
So
all right, let's do this. We are gonna go. All right. What's a habit you swear by that most people would find weird?
Making my bed every morning. I make my bed no matter what. Doesn't matter. I make my bed.
That's that military shit right there. That's that military shit.
I like to have a clean room. That's the other thing. I before I go to bed, I don't have shit everywhere. I clean my room.
Organized. Yep.
Yep. It's organized. So I get up in the morning. Boom. I get out of bed. Make my bed. I'm off and running.
Love that. If you could spend a day with any historical figure, who would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. Any historical figure, who would it be?
You can't skip on this podcast, by the way.
Let's see. Any historical figure?
Yeah.
I would have to say, I'm going to say Abraham Lincoln. I think to be around him at the time of the country in the 1860s, I think I would like to be around to see what the country was like back then.
Okay, all right.
How far we've come, right? It's only been 160 years since.
I know, right? Wild. Some people just forget about that shit.
Yep.
Oh man. All right. What's a book or a podcast that changed how you think?
I read a book called Move Your Bus. It's a little book. It doesn't take a long time to read. It's called Move Your Bus. I don't think I have a copy of it here. But it kind of compares your work life like a bus without an engine and wheels, and the people that you work with, they're the people that move the bus, right? So do you lift up the bus and run with the bus? Do you lift up the bus and kind of jog? Do you lift the bus and walk? Or do you lift up your bus and you're just a rider, right? So, what type of person are you? I'm lift up the bus and run, right? I'm lifting up the bus and run. Some people are okay with just picking the bus up and running nice and slow, as long as we get there, who cares? And then you got the boss who's the driver of the bus, right? But the people that work with you are like the wheels and the engine of the bus. Move Your Bus. It's a good book.
Move Your Bus. Out now on Amazon right now.
Yeah, it's out now, yeah.
All right, if you had to wrestle a bear or jump off a 50-foot cliff, which one are you picking? And you can't skip.
I think I'm gonna jump off the cliff. Where am I jumping into water? What am I jumping into? Doesn't matter. I'm jumping off the cliff. I don't think I'm fighting the bear. I'm good. No. I'll jump off the cliff. I'm good.
He's not wrestling with the bear like the Russians do. What's your? No, I didn't like that one. No, this is really random. If you can eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh.
For the rest of I love cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
I'm a cheeseburger guy. I can eat cheeseburgers forever. I mean, what's my favorite cheeseburger? I don't know. They're all my favorite. Doesn't matter if it's a McDonald's cheeseburger,
In-N-Out.
Wendy's cheeseburger,
In-N-Out.
burger,
Elite.
Slays.
Please, yeah.
They don't have those in New England. They don't have that.
No.
around here, but I love a good cheeseburger.
I need a.
Yep.
Alex keeps on telling me about fucking In-N-Out burger, and
Dude,
I'm
it's
like,
so good, man.
brother, like we got Five Guys over here. You know what I mean? Like he says, like, no, it's just
Berries, Five Guys, berries.
Yeah.
Berries, berries.
Dude, it's just they have such a small menu and they just execute on what they do. They don't
Yeah.
do a lot of shit, but they do what they do well.
Greasy, cheesy. I'm in. I'm down.
So good.
That's what I want for dinner.
Man.
This episode is sponsored by In-N-Out.
Oh man, I wish that'd be nice. If your life was a highlight reel, what would the title be?
Get you some of that. That's what I would call
Get
it.
you
Let's
some
go.
of that.
Some of that.
Let's
Get you some of that.
go.
Yeah, get
Let's
you some
go.
of that. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah. I'm going 100 miles an hour. I wake up going 100 miles an hour. I go to bed going 100 miles an hour. Don't matter.
Let's go.
Get me some of that.
Yeah, get you some of
Get
that.
you some of that.
It'd
Damn,
also be a good book title.
we are gonna put that on a T-shirt, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Couple more. Most. All right. Since maybe OSHA might be like, yo, Mike, what are you saying? What's the most ridiculous safety rule that you actually follow?
Most that I follow?
Yeah.
Ridiculous safety rule I follow?
I feel like no safety is really ridiculous, but
I think we're in the shop here. We're in PPE. We're in safety glasses, especially the guys cutting sheet metal.
Yep.
Doing those types of things. Definitely wearing PPE. Definitely wearing my safety glasses. That's very important.
So, like-
we have big signs that say wear PPE.
are you like this is a great question. Are you like a hard hat guy, like 24/7 on the job site, or like if you take it off if you're in the office, like do you just like put your hat on, like?
Yeah, no, I think there's a time and a place to wear a hard hat.
Okay.
I think if you're working under something, on top of something, or banging your head or something falling your head, I guess that's fine. But if I'm in an office, what am I a hard hat for? You know what I mean? Like,
Just for the feel. Just for the feel of it.
that's it.
Just for the vibes.
It does. It really
Sucks
does
to wear
suck.
them.
It sucks a lot, man.
The Marine Corps used to make you wear those Kevlar helmets driving the trucks around. It'd be 99 degrees outside. You're sweating like crazy. Why am I'm wearing this helmet on my head? It's 99 degrees outside.
Yeah.
I gotta wear it driving a truck.
Milwaukee
Safety first.
Milwaukee just made this like cap, but it has the equivalent of like a hard hat like interior.
Oh.
And they did like they did tests on it, like live tests. They would like put on like this hydraulic lift and then just like bump up to it, like say like a roof, like with nails going through, and it did not penetrate. Did not penetrate the skull or nothing like that. I honestly find that so cool, and I think that's going to be the next big thing is baseball cap hard hats. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
cool.
I've got a Klein Tools hard hat
Yep.
back here on my rack there. It's a carbon fiber.
Ooh.
A hard hat. Yeah, that's not the white one. That white one is one we use just for displays, but it's buried back there. I have it hidden because if someone saw that, they'd steal it.
Oh, really?
It's a carbon fiber. Yeah, carbon fiber is super cool. Like it's got a little headlight mount at the top of it, so
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
annoy somebody in the office, I'll wear it around and put that flashlight on people's faces. But yeah, the carbon fiber helmet's super cool. So someone from Klein Tools gave that to me, and I was like, I put it away because it's super cool.
You were like, no, nobody's
yeah,
touching
no
this.
way.
No one's touching this one.
What's a skill you wish everyone in your field had, or just everyone in, like, yeah.
What's a skill? I guess don't be so sensitive. I guess don't take things personally all the time. You're here to do a job, right? You're getting paid to do a job. It goes back to Bill Belichick. Do your job, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is why it's called. I don't know what this quote's from, but that's why it's called show business, not called show friends, right? It's called show business for a reason. We're working. This is a business. We're trying to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in a position where I've had to run business before, and sometimes you got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, right? And we've got a goal. We've got students to put through here, and it's not about unicorns and rainbows and make sure everybody's soft and squishy. We got stuff to do. We got work to do.
Yep.
Get it done. Get it done.
Love
That
that.
attitude.
And the last one. If you can go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, and like you don't even no filter, no bullshit, nothing, what would it be?
Do more stuff with my dad, right? So my dad was an electrician. I wish I had been like, Dad, take me on the jobs with you. Like, even if you're just my dad used to do side jobs all the time as an electrician. I wish someone had just said to me, but again, my parents were big college people. My mom was like, "You're gonna go to college. I'm gonna be an architect." I didn't even think about. My dad was going on doing these side jobs, but my dad wasn't much of a teacher. But I wish I had someone said to me, go back and say, "Listen, your dad's doing this side job, or he's gonna wire this ceiling fan or wire something. Pay attention because this is a skill you probably need." Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good question.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, Michael, do you go in do people more call you Mike or Michael? Like, is it?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, my mom will say Michael, right? Mike's fine too.
Right.
I mean, 4 years in the Marine Corps, you go by your last name. There was times in the Marine Corps where I didn't even know anybody's first name because we just go by. It was Furtado, or it was Pyatt, or it was Johnson, or Brenner, and then someone would say, "Hey, what's your first name?" Like, "Oh, it's Chris." Like, "Oh shit, oh,
You don't look like a goddamn Chris."
But you see, that's when things get dicey because if you're out in town with someone that's superior than you, maybe out in town you call him Chris, but once you're back in the office, you're not calling him by his first name. It's rank and last name. So if you slip and go, "Hey, Chris," they're like, "What did you just call me?" I think you mean Staff Sergeant Johnson. They're like, "Oh, sorry, Staff Sergeant." Like, so I never did that. I always called everybody by their rank.
Yeah.
All the time. They would always say, "Hey, Maloney, stop it. Just call me Chris." I'm like, "I'm not doing it, Chris. You're Sergeant Johnson." So, yeah, I've been out 20 years. These guys are, very retired by now, and I still call them by their rank.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
Yeah. Hey, you guys doing good. You guys doing good stuff here. Appreciate coming on. I appreciate you guys having me on. This is awesome.
Any final plugs that you want to give? This is your moment, buddy.
Yeah, I
Floor
appreciate it.
yours.
So listen to the Build Zone podcast. We're anywhere you find a podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Blueberry, Listen Notes, 13 major channels you can find a podcast on. It's the Build Zone podcast. We're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, and we're on Instagram. So reach out, find us, subscribe. We'd love to have as many subscribers as possible. If you're listening and want to come on the podcast, reach out to me. You can get my information through LinkedIn, and we'll have you come on. 20 minutes, plug your company, plug what you're doing. Doesn't matter if you're an ABC Mass member or not. We'd love to have you on, but look forward to it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys.
All right, thanks, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Maloney. I'm Tiago. That's Alex. We'll see you guys next time.